Okay, building trust.
They don't trust you, Steve.
Well, on that point, yeah. So this is a massive topic, yeah, and this is a lightning talk. So I'm just going to probably jump in a little bit into some areas here. First of all, do I need to convince everybody here? Dwayne mentioned it in his talk here about having the right environment. I think he called it air, atmosphere, the right organizational environment or culture. One of the things you mentioned there was trust. Do I need to convince everybody here that we need, for Agile to be successful in our organization, for Agile teams to be successful, does anybody not believe we need a high degree of trust? Okay. Has anybody experienced here where they've got some perhaps challenges with lack of trust in their organization and trying to be agile? Yeah. Has anybody not experienced that? To be honest. Yeah.
Too scared to say.
Yeah. I've got a lot of nodding heads and a lot of hands up. Yeah. So we're an Agile team. The Agile Manifesto says, trust us to get the job done. We're Agile, trust us. Yeah? And that just happens overnight, doesn't it? No. So reality of life, trust, as we all know, trust is a highly emotive and a personal thing. It doesn't happen overnight. We have to earn trust over a long time. So how does this work in organizations that have perhaps been traditional for a number of years? We now then engage in an Agile journey, and we suddenly expect teams to be trusted, just like that. So we're an Agile team, we're going to release into production. Mr. Operations Manager, just trust us. We're just going to put this in live now. Don't worry, we're Agile. We're doing a bunch of testing in the sprints now. We're just going to launch into live. Is that okay? What kind of response do you get? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So how do we go about building trust? Yeah. Where do we start with building trust? Yeah. Communication, yeah. What kind of communication?
Honesty.
Yeah. Okay. So I've came across situations with a number of engagement clients where there has been trust issues. Sometimes it's teams are feeling they're not trusted. Sometimes it's management feeling teams don't trust them, and there's challenges, etc. What I'm going to explore tonight is a couple of techniques that or approaches we've used to try and just start the journey of understanding how we build trust. Okay, so some of these techniques before I got into Agile, and years ago, I used to be a volunteer charity worker in an organisation called Venture Scotland. Anybody heard of that at all? Oh, one person, yeah. So Venture Scotland started off, it was actually 89, a bunch of, so everybody heard of Operation Rally, or Rally International? Yep, it's a few on the heads. So I've been on some rally expeditions over the years. So we had 4 challenges. 1, to get selected to go on an expedition. 2, to fundraise for it. 3, to do the expedition. And number 4 challenge, we came back, was to put something into the community. So a bunch of Scottish-based venturers, we came back, we were called Venturers. We were out on the expeditions, and we formed Venture Scotland. I was one of the volunteers of Venture Scotland, and what we were doing outdoor pursuit-based activities. We're going all the way up to our Bothy in Glenetiv. We managed to get a free lease in the Bothy in Glenetiv, and we ran outdoor-based residential weekends up there for 16 to 25-year-olds from disadvantaged backgrounds. We used to have a minibus. If you start in Edinburgh, we'd pick up some folks from different sort of social groups and whatnot in Edinburgh. Then we'd come through to Glasgow and pick a bunch more, then head up to Glenetiv and have a weekend up there doing a bunch of outdoor stuff. A lot of it was trust building. So we were trying to do trust games and building up trust, etc. A lot of the people on our weekends came from backgrounds where, very low levels of trust. They'd been in situations where, big issues with trust. And we as volunteers came on the expedition. We started to realise sometimes we're a bit out of our depth in what we're trying to do. We all came from various different backgrounds. So we had a few weekends that went a little bit off the rails with behaviour and different things. So we actually went on some training ourselves as volunteers. So we had a social worker from one of the Glasgow youth agencies gives a resident weekend, and we delved in a bunch of stuff. And that first exposed me to a bit more deeper what we mean by trust, etc. Yeah, and one of the key things I got from that learning was trust starts about understanding yourself first. Okay, so you're expecting to be trusted, or why don't they trust me? You really perhaps first of all need to understand yourself first. Okay, so that's one of the key things I got from that. Another bit of influence is a good book by these guys, Meister, Green and Galford, called The Trusted Advisor. And what I'm about to show up next comes from that research they did. This goes back about 20 odd years, if not longer, some of the research they did. So I'm going to put up 4 areas that they believe, and this is called what they call the trust equation. Okay? So there's a bit, you wouldn't think trust has got any sort of maths or anything like that, but there is a little bit of a thought here. So it's trust equation. I'll start off with credibility. So credibility, reliability, and I'll leave that to just now. So first of all, credibility. What kind of things do you think, to be credible, what do you think that means? Any ideas? So being credible in terms of trust is probably more about what you say about yourself, the words. Okay? So in the trust equation, credibility is more about what you say about yourself. So, or are you believable? Okay? So you walk into a doctor's office and they've got on the wall all their diplomas and degrees and whatnot. You probably think they're credible, yeah, and what they say, you know. Or you go to a talk and somebody's talking and they come across as very credible. That's a bit of trust there. You believe in what they say, okay. Sometimes credible speakers will also say when they don't know, improves their credibility. Okay. The next thing we trust is reliability. Would you trust somebody if they weren't reliable? So this is about actions, really. So saying what you'll do, okay? So actions basically link to expectations. So we set expectations. So in our Agile teams, we say we're going to do a certain thing. Do we actually follow through that and actually put that into action? Do we actually do what we say we're going to do? Okay, builds up reliability. Okay. Then we get into a bit more softer stuff, intimacy. So intimacy is another key part of building up trust. Okay. So intimacy is about things like mutual respect. It's about honesty and openness. And it's also about having that emotional connection, okay? So this is probably getting more into sort of softer aspects, but it's being intimate with a team or a group or individual you're trying to build trust with, okay? Some more things on credibility. Content expertise is good. So if you know your subject very, very well, you become more credible, and also a presence, okay? Okay, so all these, we could go on forever here, but I'm just putting up a few up to give you a flavour. Conscious is a short talk. And the last one is self-orientation. So that's all about what's my agenda, okay? So we get into politics here. And if you're trying to build up a trusted relationship with perhaps, so let's say operations saying, well, this Agile team, do they actually care about me? Okay, they're asking me to put their code into production. You know, what are their motives? What are they trying to do? What about my needs? Okay. So that's one view of how to think about trust in terms of these different different areas here. Yeah. The trust equation, there is an equation here. So the trust equation is made up of these four elements here. Any sort of stabs that you think how it goes? Is it just that plus, is it just them all added up?
I'd say it's a multiplication.
Sorry?
I'd say it's a multiplication. Like
Yeah,
you have to multiply all these, not add.
Yeah, some are overlaps, so duplication. Yeah, there's overlaps in some. There's a bit of grey area here. Some bits of so they also talk about the emotional and the rational parts of this as well. So each of these areas have emotional and rational parts to it. Okay. But basically, so the way it goes, the trust equation is credibility, which is escape me. There you go. So credibility. See, this is well rehearsed, live on video as well. Superb. Plus reliability, plus intimacy. I can draw on that because it's not a Sharpie. Divided by self-orientation. Okay? So that's a kind of key point for the research that these guys did, is that trust is very highly influenced by self-orientation. So what that's into saying to form a trusted relationship with another team or individual, you're looking for low self-orientation. So it's not about what you want, it's about how it's going to benefit the other party. Yeah? So this gets into very deeply having to understand what are their needs. So we get into this other thing called the 5 phases of the 5 steps into building trust. Time check, Chris. How are we doing for time? Are we okay? Or
yeah, you got 4 minutes.
4 minutes, right? Okay. So very quickly, building up, the 5 steps is engage, listen, this is the 5-step process. So engage, listen, frame, envision, and commit. Okay, that's the 5 steps. So engage is an initial point of contact, first impressions. Have we got some mutual ground to talk about? This is very key. So listen is all about very much focused on listening to the other party and understanding their needs. Listening both at the factual thing, what is it factually they need, but also emotionally, what is it they're actually looking for as well. So we talk about framing that, and that's putting that into perspective. Maybe so you're asking questions like, so if this was to happen, what if this was to happen? You're trying to frame it and put it in perspective. But one of the key things here, and this links into the trust equation, is this listening and framing. What's very important to have a trusted relationship is that in these areas here, we're getting a really good understanding of the other individual's needs, and we're conveying back that to them and demonstrating that we actually understand that and we recognise that. Now, sometimes you might not like what you hear here and so on. There's a bit of a, you got to think, well, can we actually work? Is this going to work? But if you want to have a trusted relationship, then you've got to demonstrate that you have a low self-orientation. And it can go both ways as well. So the person you're developing a relationship with needs to perhaps have this complete opposite. So it's more of a mutual trust. Okay? Envision is about building up a shared vision. So this is kind of quite common to some Agile teams talk about shared vision statements, etc. How are you going to work together to actually commit to do a change, commit to do something? So that's the kind of the five steps there. Okay, as I say, we just delve right into some trust stuff there. This is a massive subject. Going for several days talking about trust and so on. Not me personally, but there's a big topic area here. So I think the book I mentioned, where the trust equation and the 5 steps came from, is the Trusted Advisor. And I think that's neat. So if you want to get in touch, my name's Stephen. We've got some details up here as well. Okay, thank you. Any questions?